Yeah. All right.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Loose Meat, the world's premier extreme music podcast. We cover everything gore grind, grindcore, mincecore, hardcore punk,
Hmm.
saxophone,
Everything.
jazz. If
Yeah.
it's weird, if it's out there, if it's made by autistic one-man guys in their basements and recorded
It's me.
on a microwave, we're talking about it here. My online handle is Horrible Noise. My name is Alex, and I'm a former host of Loose Meat with my boy Eli of More Noise Records. We did it DIY for, I want to say, almost 2 years with our boy Gonilok, the heavy metal historian YouTuber. And we're bringing it back, and this time we are on the Gore Grinder channel, the world's premier grindcore source, the literal backbone of the global community of grind.
Yeah.
So
Shout
shout
out to
out to
Greg.
Greg from Greece, who runs that bad boy. And today we are joined by Dylan Fagia, famed and prolific grindcore multi-instrumentalist of the
Man.
band or project Nyctophagia. Nick, Dylan, how you doing?
Almost too productive at times, just flooding the world with nonsense. But,
Yeah, man, you got
yeah,
a lot of releases.
yeah. But thanks for having me on. Obviously, shout out to Gore Grinder channel. It's in its entirety on play all the time when I'm supposed to be working. So definitely appreciate
Same.
the flood of new music constantly and old.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT. Anyway, yeah, so me and Eli, we did this podcast for years. We used to review new releases and also interview bands. Eli's in cahoots with Greg and decided he wanted to put a video podcast this time on the channel. He dropped 2 episodes with our boy Sam, who's another host under the name Gore Show. But now that I'm coming back, I said let's
Let's do
revamp
the
the whole
meat.
name because it's a great name, especially for so much of Gore Grind has meat themes. So we are Loose Meat, and here we are. Eli, what's the latest? What's going on with you?
Really a whole lot of nothing. Just checking out bands, listening to music. It's pretty boring. Honestly, in my world, I was just talking with you about growing a rat tail back, and that's basically
Can't believe you cut that thing off.
yeah. That's all I've really been up to. Checking out all of Dylan's tunes, and that's been that. Listening to a lot of Mushroom Head lately. I'm not sure where that came from for anybody who's listened to Mushroom Head. I'm in Cleveland, so they're little heroes around here. But I was way into them back in the day, and I've been like listening to them nonstop for probably the last like month now. That and sang with Sugar Ball.
Oh yeah,
I thought you were gonna link me somehow to Mushroom Head sound. I was like, whoa, that's
Oh, that would be
not
awesome. That would.
expected, but
I could probably find it if I spent long
yeah,
enough. I
yeah.
could probably find a crossover.
Mushroom
I've
Head is
never
like
had
the
a
new metal,
master
right?
anything for better or worse. So
Yeah, their earlier stuff is kind of a little bit more. It definitely has a new metal in it, but it's like very avant garde. Their later stuff is like they're kind of like southern rock now, which is an interesting turn. I don't listen to a lot of their newer stuff to be honest. It's not for me, but it's not bad. I know the drummer went like crazy and kicked everyone out of the band and was like a psycho now, but
Drummers can do that?
yeah, I guess he's the founder. I mean,
the rare, yeah. Do they still do the costumes and masks and stuff? I can't
yeah,
imagine how long or what kind of work that would take to do that. For
yeah, 100%.
years or whatever.
It's got to be a lot, and it's funny that you bring that up because one of my buddies, he's a guitar tech for Gwar, and anytime they come to Cleveland, he'll let us come to the show and hang out and shit. And everything that they do to get ready for that is so excessive. Like it looks awesome, and I love Gwar. Gwar is sick, but just to see all of that and like the big fucking
Right.
suits and all the shoulder and all the I know the rumor used to be that they used like pig's blood back in the day. I think it's just red water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
I
way.
mean
That would be so
I feel like
expensive.
yeah, exactly.
Although I do
As a
remember
matter of
reading Revolver magazine, the rock and roll magazine, when I was like 12, and there was like an interview with Gwar, and they were asking, so like, what's the deal with shooting blood at your audience? Do you really think the audience likes being covered in blood? And then Odorous Urungus said, it depends on whether they like the blood to be infested with the HIV virus or not. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
They're not the most serious band. We've interviewed serious bands at Gwar. Gwar is jokes,
Yeah.
but we love them.
As a matter of fact, Gwar and the Misfits was my first concert ever
Oh.
in 1990. 8, I want to say, my parents took me and 3 friends to.
Oh, that rocks.
Actually, I'm from Zanesville, Ohio, so.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with the Newport and Columbus, but in any case, that's where the show was, and
Yeah.
Starhead opened.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so I was just like I was a fan of Gwar, but had never seen him live, and
Yeah.
that obviously was just like a transformative experience. And my parents knew what they were getting into, but they're like, "Wow, they really brought out Princess Diana's corpse," and the level of shock I think was above and beyond even what I was expecting.
Yeah, that is insane, man. That is such an odd lineup. You said so it was Gwar, the Misfits, and Scarhead opening. Very
right,
all over the place. How was Scarhead? Those guys seem to be very level-headed. At least Danny Diablo with some of the decisions that he makes sometimes.
I mean, this was just as I was like starting to get into various types of music and stuff, so I didn't really like have any context for Scarhead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was cool, but didn't really make an impression one way or the other. But then when Misfits played, which was the Michael Graves era, which obviously he's an idiot, so whatever. But when they started and everyone just started this whoa, I was like, it was mind-blowing experience.
Yeah.
So all around, just like a fantastic night. And of course, when you're there with we were all probably 13 or so.
Yeah.
With your close friends,
awesome.
just hanging out, eating chips on the way back. Like,
yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I hit the liquor store. I had 4 spoonfuls of cold Chinese food, and I'm ready for some serious journalism.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's the exact startup.
Dylan of Nyctophagia. Let's start with the basics: the who, what, when, and where. Who are you? How long you been doing this? Where are you located? You already told us, I think.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dylan. I'm originally from Ohio, but have lived all over the place and currently live in a really stupid part of Texas at the moment.
El Paso,
which
right?
we like moving around, but not the best environment at this time. However, I used to live in El Paso, and that's where Nyctophagia started. Well, sorry, let me even start before that. I've been in Goregrind for a very long time, obviously. I started playing guitar fairly late in life. I lived in the middle of nowhere and was like, all right, time to stop playing air guitar and like really try to do something. And so by the time I had moved back from being out there, I was able to play well enough to play with a drummer. And so that led to this band called Disc Crow, which is kind of like just like heavy D-beat Goregrind, which is all I wanted to play basically. And then that eventually led to this band called Orchiopexy, which, of course, Isaac from Sulfuric Cautery was living at Dayton at that time, and I was living like 20 minutes away, and was just like, wait, one of the best drummers in the world lives like down the road. So I forced him to do a band with me. And then when I was moving away from there, I was moving to El Paso, and he put me in touch with Frank and Sam, shout out. And like, I think the second day I was there, I knocked on Frank's door and he opened the door and we had practice. So like, that was just like a immediate connection. And that's where Nyctophagia started as a full band in El Paso. And then when it came time, we played dozens of shows over a couple of years with all kinds of cool bands, in punk spaces, metal shows, just all a very wonderful time. And I have nothing but fond memories of El Paso. But when it came time to leave, I really liked the name and logo and just sort of general vibe of it. And so I decided to, thanks to how easy it is to program and record from your laptop, just do a one-man project. And that's what I've been doing basically since then. Collaborations here or there when I'm able to, but that's just me and my laptop and guitar basically.
Hell yeah. That second band, what was it called and what does it mean?
Orchiopexy, I believe, is the surgical descending of the testicles. And so Orchio in any rate is testicle related. And just that was basically like a more basement version of Nyctophagia, just like raw, crusty Goregrind with full of D-beats.
That's hilarious. That's an awesome name. I would have never guessed that. Well, I guess I don't really know anything about the medical field, so yeah, that was a surprise to me. But that rocks.
The amount of knowledge I've exactly, specifically, but the amount of like weird knowledge like that I've picked up over the years, like the prefixes and suffixes,
Yeah.
thanks to gore grind and death metal, is like actually pretty
It is
wild.
a lot of
It's an
gore grind now.
educational situation.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
have
well, moving on to
cool.
Nyctophagia as a name. I looked it up, and it means it's a medical condition involving binge eating at night. But I imagine you're also playing with the fact that it means eater of the night, like eating the night. So it's a medical meaning.
If it is a real word, that's purely an accident. I just really like the prefix nicto, which is night, and then phagia, eating. So whatever kind of meaning one wants to put together from that, that's fine. But it was basically an homage to autophagia, just because I love that project so much.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah. Okay.
Just the word
autophagia, of course, meaning
phagia was
self.
like, yeah. So Nyctophagia, it seemed kind of sinister and cool.
Yeah, you came up with like a sick name on accident, Eater of the Night.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Because there's so many like gore bands that have like medical themes, and I looked it up on the Wikipedia page for Nyctophagia. It's basically like people that have anorexia or whatever. They'll like fast all day because they're embarrassed to be seen eating because they think they're fat, and then at night they'll like binge on like 10 pizzas.
Well, I definitely wasn't trying. That was not the intended meaning, nor did I know that, or am I trying to make light of that? That's news to me.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, and kind of on that note, I wanted to not. I've never really been into doing like explicit gore, or violence themes or stuff. I know that's part of the scene and genre and whatever, but I just never really wanted to do that. So something like Nyctophagia just seemed a little bit different than
other
it's a
stuff
sick
name.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I see on your Bandcamp you describe your sound as gore grinding D beat, and I think that's pretty on point. And I have to say I love it. I listened to everything today, even though there's so much.
Sick.
I'm a big D beat guy, so it works for me. And I like
Absolutely.
that it's not like overly like it's gore, but it's not disgusting violence. There's not images of dead bodies on all your album covers.
Right.
So, obviously that's part of the deal with this stuff, but it was refreshing to see a lot more themes of like, being anti-corporate, not trusting the government. I'm just gonna bang out some of the track names that I like because like the listeners need to hear about these. We got songs like Live from Planet Moron, Televangelist Wing of the Prison, Eulogized with Corporate Jargon, Wedding Feast Laced with Datura. Oh my goodness, who could forget such classics as Ointment Overdose, or Elbow Enemy, Stockpiling My Own Waste, Family of Cops, Gauntlet of Putrescence, Ghost in a Pool of Vomit, 8-story building full of piss, or Rotting World Cocoon. So lots of themes of kind of scientific hubris, dark futures, dystopian futures. It's really cool shit.
Thank you. Yeah, I have like a 20-page list of titles that I just need to. That's basically why the band exists, is to put music to all these like dumb ideas and like concepts and stuff. But yeah, I have like a running document of just stuff waiting to be used. But I appreciate you saying that, because I definitely have a lot of fun with the titles and imagery and stuff, and hope that other people enjoy that as well, because it's always a good sign when you crack yourself up.
Everything should be a joke. But does it go deeper? Like these songs, obviously growl vocals or screeching vocals. Are there lyrics?
Yeah, all that to say, it's not totally dumb, because it's all within the context of, being somewhat, or not somewhat, but extremely critical of society, religion, inequality, the usual crust topics, super stridently anti-fascist and anti-racist and stuff like that. And so those themes certainly play a huge part. And a few upcoming releases, I'm dialing back or I'm making it slightly more serious, just to have a little bit more impact. But yeah, just melding, kind of your standard peace and love and anarchy messages with some more just kind of off the wall concepts.
Yeah, it's a fun balance of obviously serious themes and then unserious things to break it up. I think it's a good mix.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask you, Dylan, your hatred of Scion Records. First of all, this was news to me that I read the rant there. I didn't know that Scion. So this comes really from like Scion the car is Scion Records. This is what this is.
Dude, this was like so weird to me that I like didn't even think it was real. Like just out of nowhere, seemingly, Scion Records, or excuse me, Scion the car company, which is a subsidiary of Toyota, which was trying to make these kind of like cars for like millennials, Gen X, like just alternative people for whatever reason. And they had this marketing idea where they started a record label that catered to not only underground like EDM and hip hop and stuff like that, but also grind and death metal of all things. And so they put out free EPs by like Magruder Grind, Immolation, Magruder Grind kind of being one of the biggest like or most controversial, I should say, entries and all that. But anyway, so it was just like a very like weird infiltration of this gigantic corporation somehow thinking that like underground grind is like a venue, an untapped market for cars.
Right.
And so
It's insane.
to me, that was just so dumb that it was almost ignorable. But the fact that like bands consented to be part of this, it was just like, come on, like this is so egregious that like there's just no reason to do this, and they're popular bands anyway, so like it's not like they really like
so I get involved with it.
Boost. And one of the bands even mentioned that like they didn't even, I would think like if a car company's sponsoring me, give me a fucking van or something,
help us out,
or a gas card or whatever, but like they said they didn't even get that. So to me, it was just like a very like tasteless thing to participate in.
Right.
Not only did Scion Records eventually fold, but Scion, the car imprint, did as well. And so I don't know how much of that has to do with like this music venture and how much it was just like whatever, whatever, some market thing, but like that just
I'm sure it was
so...
all due to you calling them out.
The other thing is this was in like 2011 or something, so I'm a bit late on this, but that always really bugged me, and just I always wanted to do a artwork of somebody like ripping up those records, even though I love Immolation, but whatever.
That's hilarious. I had never heard of that before. That's really a funny story. I wonder what I guess maybe you're just right. They were just trying to get into an untapped scene, and that was the route they took.
Well, I mean, like I said, it wasn't just metal. It was like hip hop and EDM and alternative music and stuff like that. But the another like just jaw-dropping thing was like I saw Immolation once, and they had the Scion EP, which everyone gave out the music for free, which whatever, that's cool, I guess. But at this show, they were handing out like photocopied zines produced by Scion, but to look like punk zines. And there was this picture in the inside of this like silhouette of a Krusty with like dreads and a studded vest. It had this Scion logo in it, and I was just like, "This is so dumb.
Perfect. It's just perfect.
So embarrassing." Like, yeah, it was crazy. So yeah,
you hope that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, you would hope that those bands would get as much money as they possibly could from that. Whatever interactions they had with Scion Records, you would hope that they just were able to milk that for as much cash as they possibly could.
And I mean, maybe they did. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I just kind of from the standpoint of like a punk or whatever, like that just seemed not only in. It just overly gratuitous, like corporate sponsorship.
Tone deaf.
Yeah,
they say
very, very
grind will get you laid, but it won't get you paid. We're all in this.
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
Okay, quick aside, you said that Magruder Grind is a controversial band. I don't know about this. I need you to spill the tea.
Oh no, sorry. I just meant in terms of like the fact that they were a grind band doing this Scion a Scion sponsored release that was controversial.
Okay.
Just
So they're not
somebody
canceled.
that really was from the, Cannibal Corpse doing it is one thing. They're they're a career band, whatever. But like a band that I'd seen play in a basement, suddenly having a record that looked like the Grind Crusher comp cover, but again with Scion logos. It was just like, dudes,
What is this?
something's got to be sacred still. Like it's Toyota, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by controversial. Just that, like, among a certain contingent of grinders and punks and stuff, they were that was they
kind of shitting on
turned our nose up at that. I think Mass Grave has a song called "Fuck Scion" and a couple other things have done similar things. So
that really backfired on him.
I don't know what ever happened, like what impact that actually had on the bands one way or the other. So maybe it was cool, maybe it was bad. I don't know, but that again,
I'm only concerned about the shareholders. I wonder how it affected.
How they felt about that.
Yeah, they were probably like, "What are you guys doing? This is like nonsense. These people don't have any money." Like,
what if it would have worked out well though, and like Scion would have been like the best grindcore label to get signed to? Wouldn't that be quite the fucking?
Yeah. I mean, they put on all these free festivals and shows, so that's cool, I guess. But
Yeah.
Again, there were signs all over the place that said, like, if you're in here, you consent to be featured in like Scion ads and stuff. So
That's so weird. Maybe a guy who just worked for Scion was just like a big grindcore fan. And he was like, I got the idea of what, like, he just wanted to do this and pushed really hard for it.
Had to be. And all the bosses are like, I don't know.
Oh, fuck is this?
Like, no, seriously. And then
He's like, I'm willing to stake my entire reputation.
I will do this.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny as fuck, dude. It's always fun to see how that kind of stuff plays over. It's funny that you brought that up because I did. I worked in music for a couple years, and I worked at like an actual record label. And I remember trying like really hard to get them to like buy in on grindcore music. Like, hey, you should maybe like put some of these guys on fests, like sign some of these bands.
Say which one you worked for.
Tragic Hero, and I would play music for my boss. Warner Brothers. They were signing like they were doing like emo bands though, right? They did like a Skylit Drive and stuff like that. So I remember like one of the first times that I got together with my boss and I was like playing him music. I'm playing like Sordo and Sex Prisoner, and I was playing him like, just shit that I listen to on like a daily basis. But I remember like playing it and he was like, I just don't get this at all. Like, I don't know what the fuck this is. He's like, I don't know. He's like, do you, like, he thought that I was just joking. Like when I was playing this, he was like, you listen to this? And I was like, yeah, no, I do. I was like, you should, do something with some of these guys. Like, and I don't know, the reaction of people who don't really listen to it or not accustomed to it, they really do just see it as like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, definitely seeing a good grind band live was impressive to anybody. I mean, anybody can appreciate how sick like a good grind drummer is and just that intensity. But yeah, I mean, outside of seeing it live, playing grind for someone in like a normal context, like
I had to throw it at the wall. I mean, I'm such a fan of it. I was like, I would love for like instead of having to go watch like Hot Topic bands, which I mean nothing against those guys. The music is subjective. You like what you like, but I was like, damn man, can we maybe get some shit that I want to hear in here so we can fucking make this a little bit better?
Well, I know years when was that? Probably in the mid 90s, Columbia Records had like a deal with Earache Records, and so they like co-released a Napalm, the Fear, Emptiness, Despair album, and some other like semi underground things like that. And I don't think that worked out to anybody's like detriment or benefit. Like, just the fans are there, and you're not gonna suddenly like make death metal like hugely popular.
Yeah.
So I think that experiment just kind of
Earache Records also, they have a history of really being like super shady. I know who was the band that was, I wish Sam was here because he tells the story all the time. There was a band that was over in like Australia and somebody got really sick in the band and Earache, he was like gonna die over there and Earache wouldn't like up or change their plane tickets or something so they could get back to America. There was like something like that to where they wouldn't just spend a little bit of money to help them out, but they have like a long history of kind of dicking around bands now. And I know they used to primarily, I think, just do like grind and noise and stuff like that, but they have like, they have all kinds of shit come out from over there now. I know they have like bands that were like that band Blackstone Cherry. I don't know if you've listened to them. I only know about them because they were on all the SmackDown versus Raw games back in the day.
Well, I know like in the it's about that time too, the mid 90s, when like, you know, supposedly there was a lull in death metal, like all those labels were trying to put out stuff, new metal stuff, alternative stuff, like industrial shit, alternative stuff that just to vary the roster, maybe capture the new sound. And maybe Earache never really like stepped back from that. I to be honest, I haven't followed the label's output since I was kind of getting into music and stuff, but
yeah, it's just interesting. Interesting. A little runabout that they have there. Is there real? I guess maybe Relapse Records would probably be the biggest grind label, but I know a lot of that stuff all gets done DIY. So I'm just always curious though about, because there seems to be like, at least in the last couple years, like an uptick of like grind bands who I feel like are making like an actual push to try and get, you know, featured more and make like a real time like career out of it. I know like Escuela is the one that everybody points to, and I know they get their shit for. I mean, some of the other stuff that whatever their tour manager was doing, whatever that whole situation is, I can't remember the exact breakdown, but I know he was like being a creep or something. But people also, even before that, were like, this band is cringe as fuck. Like, why are they the way that they are? But I don't know. I would like for grind bands to make money, though. It'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, who wouldn't want to do what they love for a living? So,
right.
I mean, if there was some way to do that, that would be fantastic. And I mean, you know, it's like, do I necessarily hold it against the band for if they had the opportunity to get a free van, but they had to hype the company to do it? Like, no, I can understand that. Like,
right,
working sucks. Like, real life sucks. So why wouldn't you want to do anything you could to
hang out,
do
and play
what you
music
want as much as possible? You know. So
speaking of which, today's episode is sponsored by Bluch. No,
exactly. Exactly. I have it right here.
Check it out.
All three of us are rock hard right now.
Yeah, it's how we get to such good chemistry on the show.
Ripped up.
Hell yeah. Well, are you active right now? Are you playing shows? Are you in the studio? What's going
on? Let's see. I did
turn this light up.
Finally link up with some real drummers and sent some tracks for them to record real drums too, so that'll be a nice change of pace. So I'm just kind of waiting leisurely for them to get that back. Like no huge hurry on my end. I tend to like get super into it and write and record like a ton of songs like right in a row, and then just not even be able to like come up with anything for a while. So I'm just kind of riding that lull out. But yeah, I mean, I always have a bunch of stuff in the pipeline, some unreleased stuff waiting for other bands to finish their sides or whatever. So there shouldn't be too much of a lull, for better or worse, in upcoming Nyctophagia shit.
Do you
have you toured? How do you, can you play live when you're a one man guy?
When we were a full band in El Paso, we played all the time, which was sick. But the only real shows I've played since then, last summer, when Sulfuric Cautery did like over a month tour of the U.S., Isaac offered to be Nyctophagia's backing band, that Sulfuric would be Nycto's backing band for like a week of that. So I got to play like 7 or 8 shows on that run, which was super fucking fun. And then got a different incarnation of the band together to play at Barely Breathing Fest last year in New York. So that was very exciting summer, obviously. And I'm always more than ever now, like, just if there was a way to get a full permanent, like, dedicated band together, I would absolutely do that full time. The only downside is I just move a lot, so it's like hard to get like a real stable lineup going.
Yeah. Do you I guess we'll kind of based on that, you sort of touched on it a little bit. Do you like more being in a one man project or having the full band? I mean, it sounds like for live shows, obviously you would like to have the full band, but maybe is there less of any sort of creative pushback just being by yourself? You could just do whatever you want, no regard for anybody else.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the best part of it, is that like you can write and record like a whole EP. Well, maybe not write it in a night, but like the quickness with which you can get stuff done is amazing. And you know, you're not waiting for your bandmates to show up an hour late, and then we got to stand around and get smoked for a while, and then talk and play twice, and then go hang out again. So like that kind of like I could take or leave, obviously, but just being able to spend time with friends playing music, let alone doing a tour and playing more shows, would be absolutely wonderful. So I'm very eager to get a full band together and tour as widely as possible if we can make that happen.
Yeah, hell yeah, that'd be sick. I know I saw on your Bandcamp that you work with changing musicians or an open door of musicians. I can't remember the terminology that you use, but I do think it would be very hard to do, but I think it would be really cool if you were able to book yourself on a tour and then just play with like a different band for each city that you were in.
I mean, that would be outrageous, but I did kind of realize like I thought, because I've like played with some really high caliber musicians, so certainly no slight on them, but like,
Yeah.
I think I kind of underestimated the effort it takes to get super tight and super like just punishingly good. And so I think that does take like some pretty extensive like vibing together to get down.
Yeah.
So and especially I would just over the years have been playing guitar more seriously, and so would want to reflect that seriousness and like, just like I just appreciate when people take things a bit more seriously.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
that
kind of
makes
like
sense.
the headspace where I'm at for sure.
And
I
I wanted
see you
you
do a
to-
lot of splits, and I wanted to ask, like, when you do a split, is that about saving money, or is that about increasing reach because you're partnering with another band, or probably a little bit?
I always just thought the idea of splits was just really, really cool. Like bands from complete opposite sides of the world sharing a release, maybe put out by a label from a third part of the world. Just like that whole concept of being like pen pals, but putting it to music. That is one of the like things that really drew me to this kind of music so much, is that idea of splitting. And so certainly and that's why I like being a one-man band at times, is because I can crank out stuff to fulfill my interest in putting out splits, because that was definitely one of the things I wanted to do most in Nyctophagia or any band I was in, is just like split with a bunch of weird, cool bands from all over the world.
Hell yeah.
And then I also saw you have Grind Gore Traumatology, 50 tracks of loathsome terror. We have 1, 2, and 3 being almost 150 tracks. Is that all you?
Yeah, well, I mean, just like on Bandcamp, the like squares of album covers was just getting like way too long. And so I was like, all right, I just gotta, and there's like some pretty distinct like eras of the band when I've jammed with like various people. It's like, okay, it makes sense to put all these tracks together and stuff. So I just, for the ease of like organization, compiled them into those 3 collections. And then when I get enough tracks to do the next one, I'll do that as well.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, I've probably recorded like 275 songs at this point, so like definitely enough to do keep those collections coming for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Damn,
I mean,
dude.
in the opposite camp, I think of our boy Philo Medusa, who releases like, he has like 500 different albums, and you go to his Bandcamp and like the page won't load because it just
yeah.
Also, shout out to Philo Medusa for becoming a viral TikTok sound. Did you guys see any of this?
No, he's got, what's going on with that?
Well, it's just like a riff from one of his tracks. For those of you who are listening who don't know, Philo Medusa is a band that we never got to interview, but we reviewed, and he's made like over 100 different albums about different types of frogs. So it's like frog
Hell
grind.
Yeah. That rocks.
It's all pretty weird, but he has this one really strong riff, and somehow it went viral, and people were using it. So it was specifically like foos, like Chicano Latino guys, like
that
dancing
rocks.
in their doing like fit checks and with Philo Medusa riffs going, and it was like, my whole feed was just Latino guys dancing around to Philo Medusa just for a couple of weeks, but it was
what a world.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
That's fucking sick. I have a question, Dylan. What bands were you into when you were younger? Like, what really got you into this? I know you said you went and saw the Misfits, saw Gwar. Were those 2 of your favorites, or what were you listening to that really got you into all this?
No, I wouldn't say Gwar Misfits are like particularly favorite bands, but definitely that concert was amazing. And I certainly Gwar like was one of the gateway bands into getting into stuff. But I always definitely got to give a shout out to, for its 30th anniversary as well, the Mortal Kombat, the movie soundtrack, which had, among other cool songs on it, had a Napalm Death track, which I heard when I was probably like, 5th grade or something like that. And just like immediately was like, wait a second, like this just like makes sense. And so that specifically opened my eyes to Earache Records at the time and buying samplers for like Victory Records and just trying to dive in as much as possible. And so then I got an issue of Metal Maniacs that just had all these like even crazier album covers on it. Do you guys ever read Heart Attack, like the old like political newsprint like zine? They were like super like super leftist, super like just politically active, but also like stridently DIY. And so the DIY punk ethics, all this metal stuff I was getting into just like blew my mind. But I also got some like obscene records comps like when I was in high school and some like tapes and stuff. So I got really into the tape trading scene, just like again that pen pal mentality and just like being blown away that my mailbox would be full of packages from bands all over the world. And that whole idea really spoke to me. And so I always gravitated towards like the heavier side of things, like death metal, grind, gore grind, stuff like that. So some hardcore, some etc. But yeah, crust, D-beat, gore grind, and death metal. That's probably like
your main things. So I guess on the other end of that question, I was going to ask, like, what's something that we wouldn't think that you liked? I'm always interested in hearing, like, the gore guys, the grind guys, like, what else do you like to listen to? Because I'm sure there has to be some sort of softer. I like listening to The Cure a lot. The Cure and Prince. Right. I listen to Prince and The Cure all the time. So,
I like have you guys heard like those? There are bands, or not bands. It's like companies, I guess, that make music specifically for like movie trailers, like this just really over the top, like kind of epic, like movie music, but it's all just albums of that. Like that's kind of like fun to listen to. But I would say, I don't know. I mean, my sweetheart is like super into reggaeton, so I like definitely get down with some of that. And living in El Paso as well, I got exposed like Spanish language trap is like, I don't know, as a place in my heart for some reason. So don't know a ton about it, or like, I'm not super hyped on anyone in particular, but just like anytime
just
I can listen to
vibe.
That, I fuck with it for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Damn, I like that. Reggaeton, I feel like has gotten really popular. Well, I mean, it might have been always popular. Yeah. It never really came to my attention the last couple of years. I was like, damn, I hear this everywhere. Like I hear this reggaeton. Right. Probably with Bad Bunny. He became really famous.
I love that you call it reggaeton. Reggaeton is a type of
pasta. Yeah.
Yeah. Reggaeton. Sing any of it correctly. So sorry to everyone.
Yeah, they know. They know what we mean.
We can call it reggaeton.
Yeah,
I would like that. That rocks, dude. And then you said, what was that trap music? You said it was
Well, just like I guess maybe I don't like reggaeton as much as I like the trap songs that reggaeton artists do.
Oh, okay.
Just
I gotcha.
Like, just kind of drugged out, just kind of like
I feel that.
Heavy, I feel like super. I always really liked auto-tune because it's like, to me, like the pitch shifting of pop music, kind of like, and I obviously love pitch shifters. Yeah. Like to hear these like songs on the radio that's just all like modulated all over the place. I'm like, hell yeah. So just like that type of like nighttime music, I can definitely get into for sure.
Oh, that's hilarious. I guess that's a very good point that you just made too, that auto-tune is basically pitch shifting of pop music. I've never thought about it like that, but you are 100% correct. Some would say
one day I was just like, I was like, wait a second. No wonder I like it so much, because it's vocal effects. Like,
it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. That I've always felt like that's kind of why I gravitated so much towards like drill rap. I like a lot of it because it's kind of like what grindcore and like gore is to just regular, like it's like very violent, very aggressive, and like raw. So it's like, I do kind of like listen, even though a lot of times it is like just some crazy guy waving a gun in front of a camera, and there's not a lot of like lyricism there. But I don't know, the whole presentation of it, you're like, oh, this is pretty
Yeah,
sick. I can get behind this.
yeah, it can feel pretty intimidating, man. Watching some
Yeah.
of those videos, you're just like, damn, like
Yeah,
these are
I'd
some
hate to be
serious
that
people.
fucking camera guy, dude. One slip
Yeah.
up, man, you're done. So.
Please, please make sure this is safe.
It's extreme music, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right, real, actually extreme music.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Dude, that is fucking sick. Yeah, man. Well, damn. Do you have any more questions, Alex?
Yeah, I mean nothing specific, but I want to
Nothing
know
major?
like, what's the future? Like, what's next?
I mean, I try to do like a full LP every year, so I'm working on that. And then again, just a staggered list of releases that'll come out sooner or later. But yeah, I mean, like if there's any like serious like cool people out there that want to get a full-time version of this together, like I definitely want to take that seriously. And
Hell yeah.
in the fall I'll be in like this back in the Southwest area, so like anyone in that zone, definitely hit me up and we'll try to get something going, because I definitely would love to play as many places as possible and just really go for it.
Going? Fuck yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. If you're in Texas and you like this kind of music and you want to be a session guy for our boy Dylan, he's looking.
Yeah.
Or if you
I have one more. I have one more question, Dylan. This is just something that I've been asking everybody that comes on here. How do you feel about the AI generated album covers? Now, let me say that I'm not a fan of them. I just think people throwing such huge fits over them when a lot of other album covers are literally just like a dead body turned black and white and then a shitty PNG logo from your band in the corner. I don't know if you can complain that much about, it's not like you're putting in tons and tons of effort for the first one. But I do agree that I think the AI covers do look ass. I just think the uproar of it is hilarious to me because it's not like anything else is like, super, super crazy creative.
And I mean, I definitely like get it from an artist perspective. It's horning in on their territory. Like outside of Goregrind, I'm a writer, and so like definitely the AI encroaching on that is affecting me personally as well. So I certainly appreciate why that is a problem. On the other hand, it's like you could probably have made the same argument when Photoshop came around and whenever that was, or like digital recording or any sort of like advancement in technique or technology is going to seem like it's the scary next step. So, I mean, I think AI obviously has the power to be quite a bit more scary than most developments, but I mean, I think just, I don't know, like contextualizing it, like it's just the next, we've always been, pushing these boundaries. So, I don't know. I mean, it's the fact that it is like limiting the amount of work for artists of any kind out there sucks. But I think everybody's affected by that in some way.
Right.
I mean, and then on the other hand, it's like, okay, I need a very specific type of picture, but I can't find it, and I'm not skilled in Photoshop enough to do it. Like, be able to have that art in like 30 seconds, like that's insane.
Yeah.
So, in a good or bad way, I don't know, but like just that ability, like I cannot believe that's like a thing in today's world, like that sort of capability.
If I can weigh in, because I haven't before on this, like I'm historically a cartoonist, and I've seen people that I used to run in circles with who are like, ban AI sucks, and I get it because like you say, it's encroaching in on their work and the skill set that they've developed. But at the same time, A, if it's good, it's good, and B, you cannot stop the tide of radical technological shifts. And to bring it home, I think that's a theme in a lot of your music, especially about like dystopian techno futures. Technology doesn't have ethics, humans do, so we have to kind of navigate it from a human perspective. But ultimately, like if we can get computers to do shit we used to have to do by hand, we're gonna do it. And as for not making money, nobody's making money in grindcore anyway, right? So it is what it is to a certain point.
I just wish that, like, alongside these advancements in technologies, we could figure out advancements in how we like structure society. So these jobs that are replaced by computers, we don't have to worry about because we just have a more equitable way of living anyway. So I think that's the missing piece is like, how do we really maximize the benefits of this technology by actually making everyone's lives better? And I don't think we're going to do that just based on human nature. So whatever,
it's
but that's
look at the state of the world, and
yeah,
that again is in your music and on every release. I see that same theme, and I think you're completely right.
I mean, I think in my day-to-day life, I'm a fairly like happy-go-lucky and generally positive person, but so this is definitely an outlet to like really express what I'm actually thinking and how pessimistic and kind of sad I am about all that to begin with. So, but actually, I did want to say, like, speaking of writing and AI and stuff, like I said, I'm a writer outside of grinding. This is my second book, Sealand. It's about a family that took over a naval fort off of the coast of England. Totally true story.
Hell yeah, dude.
I know all about Sealand.
Yeah, okay.
Can you give us the elevator pitch on Sealand?
This is basically the history of the world's smallest country from its foundings to all the various battles it's had with authorities and other pirates of the seas and just the crazy schemes that have resulted from this claim to statehood. So check that out. I have a book coming out in the fall about the amateur pool leagues, like billiard pool leagues in Chicago, and just how they're all competing to play at this crazy huge tournament in Vegas. So if any for all the readers out there, please check that out.
Yeah,
do you have your Sealand passport?
I do. I don't have my passport handy, but I do have a stamp in my passport. I was fortunately able to go visit, and so that is definitely. Sealand? Yeah. I met the family and was able to. I caught a ride on an old fishing boat that was taking one of the caretakers out to replace the guy who had been there for 2 or 3 weeks. They did these trade-offs when the weather permitted, and so we got to ride out there, spend a day, got my stamp and everything. It's definitely one of my most cherished trips and stamps for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely the only guy I've ever met who's been to Sealand. Eli and the folks at home who don't know, Sealand is like, I believe, like these man-made structures that used to house like guns, like big.
It was anti-aircraft platforms from World War II.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there's man-made structures in the middle of the ocean off of the UK, and then some guy went there and was like, "This is a country now. I'm planting my own flag. I'm making my own country." And he's got like a couple of cots and a microwave, basically, but it's a country, and it has its own flag and its own charter of rights and freedoms and all this crazy shit. And it's mostly an exercise in like, can we do this? But it's also like, extremely cool. I want to read your book, man. I'm going to check it out.
I just searched your book up on Amazon. I'm going to buy it just because I've enjoyed you on here. I'll read it. I'll check it out. I didn't know anything about Sealand, but I'm going to support you. That rocks.
When was the last time you read a book, Eli?
I read the Allen Iverson biography. That was in I was probably in like the 8th grade, so like 2008, 2007.
Did you like write a report on it, or can you tell?
No, I literally I just read it just because I like Allen Iverson.
Okay,
basically, the whole all I really remember from the book is just that he is extremely talented. He said he rarely ever practiced. He would get drunk all the time and just hang out at the strip club, and he was still like an all-star Hall of Fame NBA player, and just he was just destined to be that. I mean, he's literally like, I party every night. I don't go to practice. And he's like averaging 27 points a game. You can't beat that. The guy fucking rocks.
You're like incredible life lesson. Just
I know. Just do whatever the fuck you want.
You'll do it. Yeah. Who cares?
Oh, man. He rocks. Yeah. I haven't read a full book like that in a long ass time. I read that because I like Allen Iverson. I think most of the reading I do now is literally just like pieces about sports, some sort of like hit piece on like, this is why we had to fire this GM, and it'll be like, he didn't have coffee for the players at whatever the fuck. It's nerdy sports stuff. That's all the reading I do now.
I wish I was into sports. Like every year I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in. I like watching football games with my friends and stuff, but I never really followed it. And every year I'm like, this seems super fun to get into, but I just never can. I wish I was into sports. Like every year I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in. I like watching football games with my friends and stuff, but I never really followed it. And every year I'm like, this seems super fun to get into, but I never really followed it. And every year I'm like, this seems super fun to get into, but I just never can sustain it. So I wish I was involved with that for sure.
It rocks. I do love me some sports. I love playing sports. I played in high school and stuff, and it's a good time. I enjoy it. Going to the games and shit is really fun, but it's definitely like the older I get, the more it becomes like a hassle of like, damn, I gotta like Uber all the way downtown. It's a fucking long ass line to get in. Everybody's gonna want to drink all day. So then like you go to a football game, they start at 1. You're like ready for bed at 4:00. It's like, I don't know, man. It's just a pain in the ass at that point. Now it's like, all right, I just kind of just watch the games at home.
I'm anti-sports. I'm like you, man. I'm not a spectator sports guy. All power to the people who enjoy it, including this turkey. But like, I've never understood it. I would much prefer to just be involved with my fringe culture, outsider, art shit.
Yeah,
here we are. Yeah, that was a bombshell, man. Sealand is such a fascinating topic, and it's so cool that you've been there, you're an expert, and you wrote the book on it. So I'm excited about that. Plus, your music is fucking dope. For the listeners at home, I listen to everything, and I think a good jumping off point is his 2024 album, Broken Human Kingdom. I also really like the split with Regrave, which both bands have very like dark dystopian techno-futuristic themes. So those are good jumping off places. Of course, he's on Bandcamp. I also found him on Spotify. I imagine everywhere else too.
Shout out to my friend Greg from Regrave. We go way back, pancreatectomy days. Really close friend of mine.
Hell yeah. Shout out Greg.
Project. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Greg and Justin, what's up?
Removal of the pancreas.
Sometimes you gotta, man. Get that thing out of there.
You can't live without a pancreas.
Oh, never mind. I'm getting confused. Never mind. Ignore what I just said. You got to keep that thing in regardless of what's happening with it.
Look out for your pancreas. That's the take-home message.
Yeah, take-home message. Well, shit, man. Thank you, Dylan, for coming on. I enjoyed it. You rock, dude.
Yeah, this is great. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about myself for a while. So thanks for the interest. And this is cool. I watched some of the other interviews you did, and it's always cool to hear people's perspectives and interests and how that all plays out. Weird world that we're part of. So this has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I'd like to have a place really to just bullshit with the band, see what they got going on, check them, check them out. So thank you for coming on, dude. Super, super good nature, dude. I'm gonna buy your book, check it out, and yeah, man. I almost called you Sam, Alex, and Second Nature.
Yeah, hey, yeah, Dylan, we appreciate you for everybody listening. Again, my name's Alex. I go by Horrible Noise online. We got Eli. We also have Sam on as a host. We'll all try to be there, but sometimes it'll just be two of us. Maybe sometimes it'll only be one of us, but we're going to try to make it a weekly deal. We used to do it as a weekly deal for years, and we are back, baby, and we're on the Goregrind channel with 100,000 subscribers, so we're going to actually do numbers this time. Not that we didn't do numbers before, but I think we can do even better now.
I saw that earlier and was just like, I cannot believe there's 100,000 people in the world like into this shit. Like that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
I think there's only 100,000 and they're all subscribed to the Gore.
I was gonna say that's like that's gotta be like everybody, but still like that's put everybody in a room. Like that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of people.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So remember, guys, wherever you're listening from or whatever, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the Goregrind channel. He is the ultimate source for new releases in the best of extreme music in general, especially leaning grind, especially leaning gore. And we love him. Thank you, Greg, for hosting us. And we'll see you next week in our new weekly show, Loose Meat, the world's premier podcast for all things extreme music. Dylan, thanks one more time. Eli,
pour out some soda water for you. Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Hell yeah.